Hey folks, Wes here. Hopefully you are stoked to get started on the Advanced React course. I am going to use this video as a chance to get all of your tooling and starter files and everything on your computer so that this tutorial will run smoothly for you. Now, I know some of you may already have this set up. Maybe you've done one of my tutorials before. So I'm going to rattle off really quickly. I'm going to rattle off what you need. And then I'm going to go into why and how and whatnot. And if you just listen to me rattle it off and say, I got it, Wes, then you can skip it from there. You can move on to the next video. So real quick, you need latest Node.js, probably whatever's on the LTS 14 point whatever at the time. It might be version 20 by the time you're listening to this. The browser, I'm using Firefox here. You can use Chrome. I believe you can also use Safari. The dev tools that are for React and Apollo, I believe, are available on all of them. You need MongoDB Compass, which is a little app that allows you to visualize your database. I am going to be using VS Code. I'll talk about why and how in just a bit. So some sort of editor. You need some sort of terminal. And that is it for the tooling. Then you also need to grab the starter files. So if you go to your course dashboard, you'll see a link that says starter files. You'll click over to the GitHub, and there will be a SICK-FITS folder in there. In that, we have a backend and front end folder. Those will give you your starter files. I'll talk more about them as we get into it. But again, it's very similar to every single course that we've had. So that's the quick and dirty of it all. Let's go into it a little bit more. First one being Node.js. You need a modern version of Node.js. So in my case, or if you don't even know if you have Node.js installed or what version, you can just go and open up a terminal application. I'll talk about that in a second, and type node-v. And that will tell you which version of Node you are currently on. As long as it is somewhere above what this is, it might be version 25 by the time you're watching this. It comes out, I think, monthly or something like that. They bump the version number, so don't be stressed if it's version 130. You're like, oh my gosh, that's a lot. So that's how you can tell you have that, and then you can type npm-v, and that will tell you which version of npm you are on. If you are a Yarn head, you can use Yarn for this tutorial. It should just work properly. I will be using npm for this. What else do we got here? You need two browser extensions. You need the React DevTools, and you need the Apollo DevTools. So React DevTools, just find it for your browser, install it. Apollo DevTools, they are currently working, as I record this, they're working on a huge overhaul to the DevTool. So it might look a little bit different or a lot of it different than what you see here, but you just need the Apollo DevTools and the functionality will be the same. Next, we need MongoDB Compass. So MongoDB Compass is a GUI desktop app that will allow us to visualize the data in our database. So you'll see here I'm connected to my database that we're going to be creating. If you open up your, let's see, items and take a look here. We've got, look, these are all of the items that we have and all of the data. So this can be helpful if you want to like manually change something straight in the database before you have a GUI. I really love this tool. I use it for all of my MongoDB applications. So go ahead and go to just Google MongoDB Compass, click on try it now, and then follow the steps in order to download it for whatever operating system you're on. Editor. I'm using VS Code for this one. And usually I say it doesn't matter what one you use, but the integrations between linting and type hinting and all that stuff is so good in VS Code. So obviously you can use whatever you want, but a lot of the nifty tricks that I do will be VS Code specific. So you can go ahead and grab that. The theme I'm using is called Cobalt 2. Also, when you open up these projects, so when you go ahead and grab the starter files, you'll see that we have backend and front end. The way that we're going to be doing this course is we're going to open the backend and the front end in different VS Code windows, and that allows us to have a different mental separation between the two code bases. And I have purposely color coded them. So if I were to open up the backend, you'll see that it is pink, and the front end is going to be yellow. And that will just visually show you when I'm editing a file, even which part of the application am I working in. When you open it up, it will suggest to you a list of extensions that you might want to install. I would recommend installing those. You'll see a list of them are in here. You should see a little thing in the bottom right-hand corner if you don't already have all of these installed. And these are just little settings and things that I use to make my VS Code work well for React and Node development. Last thing, you need a terminal. So a terminal is available already on your computer, but I'm using one here called Hyper. There's another really good one for the Mac called iTerm 2. There also is a built-in one. All of this fancy-mancy stuff right here this is called ZSH. Absolutely not required for the tutorial, but if you do want it to match how I have it here, you can go to my wesboss.com/uses, and that will list off all of the configs and whatnot that I am using in this tutorial. So if you want to get it looking exactly the same, don't get too hung up on that though, because we're here to learn React and not fiddle around with our tools all day long. If you're on Windows, I highly recommend you check out WSL, Windows Subsystem for Linux. And what that will do basically is it gives you a terminal that runs in Windows, but without all the tiers and all of the commands. Everything that we do in Mac and Linux land will just work properly on Windows land. It's not 100% required. You can do this tutorial with the built-in terminal in Windows, but it's just frustrating to work with, just because a lot of things don't work the same way, and you hit a bunch of bumps and bruises. So since this is advanced tutorial, I'm not going to go over how to install that or whatnot. There's lots of tutorials out there how to get it, but that would definitely be a recommendation from me. Last thing that we need to do here is to run npm install on both of our folders. So if you take a look here, we have our backend and front end folders. What I like to do is keep open two tabs and move into my advanced React, into SickFits. So you can either clone the repo or download it. And in here, you will have both of your folders. I'm going to go into the backend on one of them and into the front end on another. And then you just run npm install on each of these folders, and that will go into the package.json file, and it's going to take all of the dependencies that are needed both for building the application as well as developing it, and go ahead off and grab them. If you see errors about security warnings or everything warning it doesn't work, or something is out of date, unfortunately, that's just par for the course with React or with JavaScript in general. Don't sweat it. Stick to the versions that are in here, because that is what the tutorial has been recorded with. You can try upgrade them if you want, but you're more than likely going to run into issues and whatnot. So for the sake of learning, stick with what you've got here in the dependencies, and I will keep this list of dependencies up to date with everything that is needed. When you run your npm install, you will see 5,000 things stream across thing. Like right here, I'm using React 17 for this, and a lot of my dependencies haven't been updated for React 17. Even though they work, they're going to just puke a whole bunch of stuff on the thing. Unfortunately, that's totally normal. What do we got here? 140 vulnerabilities. I updated this thing like 3 hours ago or something like that. And this may seem really scary, and it is, and you should definitely look into it, but don't freak out. Almost always, this is actually not a big deal. So don't stop the tutorial if you see something like that. I literally updated this thing like a couple hours ago, and it's probably one little small vulnerability that is used in 140 different of the packages, and they all will have to be updated. So I know that sounds weird for me to say, but trust me on that, it's probably fine. I think that's it for all of my setup. Let's get into the next video.